Yeah, so hello, this is what I have on good. I'll quickly run through them first. Taking 2015 as another point or pivot here, you can see we have two cycles already completed here. Currently, we are observing cycle 3. We are at the early phase of cycle 3, and the growth of cycle 3 is underway. And we would like to study cycle 2 and 1 so that we can predict how we would expect cycle 3 to behave. Right? So when we come to cycle 1, within cycle 1, we have two cycles or two sub-cycles within cycle 1. The duration of cycle 1 is 141. 141 is a planetary duration. Or we have 987. 987 is a Fibonacci number. So we can see the phi relationship, and we know the importance of phi within markets, what this type of market movement. Right. So when we look at the first cycle that formed after the nodal point here, we can see we have a PTV of 393, right? So 390 becomes our basic unit for measurement, and our expansion will be based on this 393. The 393, when phi expansion of 390 we divide the C03. This C03 here, we let's say the phi expansion of this 393 here. So when we add this 393 to this C03, we will get 996. 996 is also on the phi scale or on the fifth scale with 393, C03, and 996. Right? So within this, then within cycle 1, 2, we can observe that we have this M formation here representing two sub-cycles within cycle 1. Right. Again, when we add these two PTVs, we are getting 996. So when we come to cycle 2, this is cycle 2, right? So within cycle 2, the duration of cycle 2 is 220. 220 and 154 are all planetary um, planetary duration, and they are on the spiral calendar. 1540 days and 987 are on the semi-fifth scale. Again, let's look at the M formation here, right? That is within cycle 2. We have two sub-cycles running within cycle 2, and as we have pointed already in cycle 1, we we said from the first cycle within cycle 2, we have a PTV of 1071. 1071 is a variation of 996. So they are the same technically the same number. So, and they are when you place them on a harmonic scale, they are actually the same. So we have a 1 and a 1, right? Next on the harmonic scale is the inverse phi, that's the 2 over 3. 2 over 3 of 996 will give us the C03 here, which we have is C05, alright? And we know one C02, C02 here is the phi expansion of this 996, and we are seeing 996 is the same as this one. So the inverse phi of it will be C06, which we have here. Again, we need for cycle 2, if we add two PTVs, 1071 and C05, we will have 1675. So the PTV for the entire cycle 2 is 1675. 1675 is the phi expansion of 996, right? No, 1675 is the phi expansion of 996. So So as we have already established this, we will use the same relation to determine how we expect price to move within cycle 3. So for cycle 3, since we have 141 and 220, those who are familiar with this, if you're familiar with the spiral calendar, you can see the next fire expansion of 220, which is technically 224 Venus cycle duration. The next is the 365, which is also the 365, which is also technically the number for the Earth. So 364 expansion from 220 will be the duration for cycle 3. Alright, so here is the end of cycle 3 expected to be in November 2029. And because we are in the early stage of cycle 3, it is very difficult to jump into conclusion or predict the exact movement, but we can still use some properties that we can find here to predict the movement that we expect to be happening within this cycle. Right. So we can use the Fibonacci time zone tool here to look for uh, sensitive points within cycle 3. So these sensitive points are where I've indicated my red lines here. We compare that with the previous cycles and see how these fib time zones reacted with price. Yes, when we look at cycle 1, we apply this fib time zone, we can see the 0.382 was exactly where cycle 1 within sub-cycle 1 within cycle 1 terminated. When we do the same for cycle 2, when we do for same within cycle 2, we can also see that the sensitive areas are where we have the 2020 cash flow and the March 2021 low here, where I've indicated with these red lines. Alright. So we realize that we have already established that on the harmonic scale we had 1, 1 and 2/3. Next on the harmonic scale is 4/3. What it means is that we expect the first phase of cycle 3, the PTVs to summing up to 4/3 of 996. 4/3 of 996 is 132 something, so is within a range of 1376 to 1325, right? 125. So that when we add cycle 1 and cycle 2, cycle 1 and cycle 2 will be a, a, a square of 5, and cycle 3 will also be a square of 5. So that cycle 1 plus cycle 2 will be equal to the entire cycle 3. If I don't know if we do get what I mean by times not our side, so let's move into a different thing. So before we will look at the PTVC here, we can see that before this bull phase here, we had a horizontal price movement, or arguably a bear phase here. That was very slow. And after that, we have this sharp bull phase here. Similarly, when you look at this area, we have this bear phase accumulation stage, and price took a sharp movement from this point. This is closely has a close resemblance with the 19 66 to 1982 DJI market, alright. So again, since these two bare faces here have some similarities that I would like to point out. We had 606 here, we have 602 here, we have 387.92, we have 393 here. As you can see, these 2 points are actually the same, just that they are rotated 180 degrees but apart. So since we have these two faces occurring here, then we expect the next this bull cycle to take the same form as this one. Alright. So since we have total PTV of cycle 1 as 996 and total PTV of cycle 2 as 167, we expect the total PTV of cycle 3 to be 266, or the square expansion of phi. This is true because when we place this, we have already mentioned, when we place them on a harmonic scale, we have 1 1, 2 over 3, then the 4 over 3 will be 1 3 something something, and two of them should give us the two cycles within cycle 3 should add up to 226. There's another way to verify that. Another way to verify that using the dominant axis. When we look at cycle 1, the dominant axis here is the time axis. So when we measure the time axis, right, when we measure the time axis, we have 987. 987 is quite close to 996, alright. So this confirms it. And when we look at the cycle 2, the dominant side is the time axis again, and we have 15440, which is quite close to 167. This is closer. This one was closer than this because of the vertical movement. This section is quite steeper than this section, so we would expect the dominant side still being priced here, which is expected to be in the range of 2668 to 2771 here to be the entire PTV. And when you look at the time duration, we have 2548, which confirms that what we are trying to put across here, right? So quickly, we have we have 3879, which is quite similar to the basic unit 393 that we had here. So we will, without wasting our time, we want to model the price movement or what we expect between this. Again, we said that there should be similarities within cycle 2, the bull phase of cycle 2 and the bull phase of cycle 3. So I will compare the bull phases to see what we have there. So within the bull phase here, we have the first PTV form, and this is 266, 266, and the second PTV of the bull phase here is 537. The ratio between this is 2.01, 2.01, right? 2.01 times 100 will give us 2019. 2019 is a variation of 2016, which is the 14 square of 12, right? And when we look at this point too, we have 499 here. 499 times the 2.019 that we had in the previous expansion. You have 1007. The previous one we had 2016. This we have 1007. 1007 is a variation of 1008, which is the 7 square of 12. The 7 square of 12. Remember, we had the 14 square of 12, and now we're having the 7 square of 12, which is exactly the double, or you can see there's a double expansion of the previous cycle. Now we have confirmed that cycle 2 blue phase is the double of cycle 3, right? There's a quite interesting thing here that I would like to point out, but I think it will be in the next discussion because time is not on our side. I have to cover a lot of things. Now you can see a steep correction here, and we are expecting similar steep correction from this point here. And right before we discuss the next, market direction, we will discuss the market direction in the next video. But before that, let's look at the time divisions we had here. As we did in the previous ones, we have our sensitive points from year to year. So let's look at the cycle duration within the first part of cycle 3. So within the first part of cycle 3, you can see from bottom to bottom here, we have 366 days. 366 days is on the harmonic scale. C72 is also on the diatonic harmonic scale. And we have a tritone which between the tritone at 7 to 8 days, 7 to 8 days. A tritone within the tritone and the 7, you see 7 2, we have an inflection zone here that we expect market reaction, right? So when we use the Fibonacci time to from the 360 zone to our 2 0.382 zone, we can see the 0.382 on the exact low before this sharp movement up here, right here, right? And we have our 0.612 on our tritone area. So this is a point which is 28th October, that's next week. So we're expecting big movement in gold market next week. Alright, so in the next video we'll be discussing the price, scale and other possible relationship between cycle 2 and cycle 3, and how the previous cycle is a mirror image of the cycle before, of the cycle after the October 2022 low. And we will look at the expansion and where the expansion is expected to end. So check back